Unemployment rate numbers are here for the US and Canada, and both of the news events were surprising. Starting off with Canadian unemployment, their rate was projected to raise slightly up to 5.2%, but in fact did the opposite, dropping down to 5%. The US also had surprising unemployment numbers. After the good jobs numbers that we saw yesterday, it was looking likely that we might see unemployment drop, and it did in fact drop down to 3.5%. This is good news for both the US and Canadian economies. All right, everybody. So after that exciting unemployment news event, I figured that we would check out the unemployment tab just so that we could see the numbers for ourselves. Here we are, Canada and the US sitting right on top of each other. Our report date, of course, is today, January 6, 2023. And we can see here that for Canada, our previous value was 5.1%, projected to raise up to 5.2%, but in fact dropped down to 5% there. And for the US, same thing. We had 3.6% and it was actually projected to raise up to 3.7%, but did the opposite, dropping down to 3.5%. So good news for both the US and Canadian economies. And in fact, just for fun, why don't we take a look at United States and Canadian unemployment rates. We can see them right here over the past couple of years. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump right into the market heat map like we normally do. And let's see, how are our assets doing today so far? So starting up here at the top with our US dollar pairs, they're looking pretty split. USD JPY and USD CHF making some pretty solid moves to the upside. USD JPY up 0.52%, whereas GBP USD and Euro USD slight moves to the downside. GBP USD down 2.5%, or excuse me, 0.25% on the day so far. Are you interested in our market scanning software, the Edge Finder? You can try it today for free. Click the link in the description and fill out the form letting us know you're interested in the software. A member from our team will contact you with trial access information. The Edge Finder has brand new features like price forecast and economic news. There has never been a better time to try out the software for yourself. Click the link in the description and try it out for free today. Our indices are doing fairly well, all of them in the positive except for the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ is down 0.31%, but US indices like the S&P 500 and the US 30 are up on the day so far. But the UK 100 is our biggest mover so far today, up 0.67% on the day so far. Oil is our biggest mover to the upside overall. Taking a look at all of our assets here, oil has shot up 1.85% on the day so far. And look, there's gold too, kind of following right behind, up 0.68% on the day so far. So gold and oil making some solid moves to the upside. Let's keep on going. Euro pairs looking pretty split. Euro JPY up 0.35% on the day, and Euro USD down 0.19. Our pound pairs, again, same thing. Most of them trending downwards, but still pretty split. GBP NZD down 0.27%. GBP JPY up 0.27%. Our yen pairs are all trending well today, with NZD JPY being the biggest mover to the upside so far today, up 0.59%. But even CHF JPY is in the clear, up 0.11% on the day so far. Same with our Swiss franc pairs. Our Swiss franc pairs are all in the positive. CHF JPY, like we just mentioned, 0.11%, and NZD CHF up 0.65%. Australian dollar pairs, not a ton of movement, but also mostly moving to the downside. But GBP AUD is the biggest mover to the downside, only down 0.12%, 0.12%. Aussie JPY up 0.42, and Aussie CHF also up as well. And our New Zealand dollar pairs mostly trending to the upside, but we do have GBP NZD down that 0.27% like we mentioned earlier, and NZD CHF up 0.65% like we just mentioned as well. So let's go ahead and hop into the watch list. Wasn't a ton of movement today, but let's see. Watch list, let's get rid of these neutrals. And let's focus on our currency pairs only. So I'm going to remove indices and commodities. And there we go. No strong buys. In fact, you know what? Let me take a look at that really quickly. Bring those indices and commodities back in. Okay, so German 30, US 10Y. So no strong buys at all. Remove these again. No strong buys at all. Only 4 buy signals: USD CAD, CHF JPY, NZD CAD, and Euro GBP are our buys. We have a lot of sells, and some trending pretty heavily: GBP USD and GBP NZD, both strong sells, scores of -6 and -5. But we also have a couple -5s here as well. Aussie NZD, NZD USD, GBP CHF, and Euro USD are all some solid sell scores, -5 right here. So I'm thinking let's go with a buy. We're going to go with USD CAD just to take another look at all of those US dollar and Canadian dollar numbers. So let's hop right into that major currency pairs, USD CAD right here. And so a buy score of a +4. We've got our new unemployment numbers again right here that we'll take a look at again in just a second. But let's start off with this, like I just mentioned, buy score of +4. COT data is a score of +2, and retail sentiment is a score of +1. And we can find those numbers right down here in our sentiment section. So institutional trader data, or COT data, currently has institutional traders pretty heavily favored long on the US dollar, 67.17% long compared to 32.83% short. And the opposite for the Canadian dollar, 32.9% long, 67.10% short. Institutional traders are favored short on the Canadian dollar. Retail sentiment, we have 30% long and 70% short from the retail traders. So retail traders definitely favored short here on the pair as a whole. Our seasonality is a score of +1, and we can take a look here in our last 10-year average and last 5-year average. Taking a look at the month of January, in the last 10-year average, it's staying relatively neutral. It is just slightly above this zero neutral line here, meaning that at the start of the month, how does it compare at the end of the month? Not a whole lot of change in our 10-year average. In our last 5-year average, however, this pair does tend to not perform quite as well, but we can see the current year average currently has this performing a little bit better than it began the month at. Our trend reading is a score of -2, and that is something that is really dragging this pair down and giving it maybe not quite as high as of a score that it could have, because our trend reading is a -2, and what that means is we are seeing some downward momentum. Yes, we are getting a buy score for certain reasons. Our retail sentiment, our COT data, is pointing us towards a buy. Fundamentally speaking, we are seeing some buy metrics here. GDP growth, unemployment, and interest rates are pointing this towards a buy, fundamentally speaking. But trending wise, we also have to double check and see how this market is actually trending based off all this data. It has been trending downwards, and we have data dating back to December 20th. So from December 20th up to today, we can see some downward moves, a little bit of popping back up right here around this level. It actually broke through that level right here, but then shot back down. So we'll see if the dollar can rally off of this new unemployment news and perhaps gain a little bit of momentum and turn this pair back around. But let's finish up with our fundamentals. GDP growth, inflation, unemployment, and interest rates have scores of +1, -1, +1, and +1 again. So fundamentally speaking, we can check it out here. US dollar GDP growth 3.2% compared to Canada's 0.7%. Our new unemployment numbers: US unemployment 3.5% and Canada's 5% unemployment. US inflation currently sits at 7.1%, and Canada sits at 6.8%. That is the one metric here where Canada is beating out the US dollar. And lastly, interest rates for the US sit at 4.5% compared to Canada's 4.25%.
Let's set everything up here, guys. We're going to pull up our screens here, and I'm going to show you a couple windows at once so that we can watch the spike here together. So give me just a moment. We'll go 15-minute chart. Gold is going to be in your top left. The S&P 500 is going to be in your top right. And on the bottom, we're going to get the pound and the euro. And we're going to look at the 15-minute chart on all of these. Give me 1 second as I go to my color theme here. So euro is here, pound USD is here. It should be an eventful event here with the NFP numbers coming out momentarily. Let me pull up my trade for you guys here. So I'm going to go and we'll pull up. So this is my gold trade, which is really tiny. Let's actually pull up the more interesting one. So I'll pull up SPY. And so this is my S&P 500 trade. We're floating $400 before the event. We'll watch this together to see if we can actually get it. And guys, we've got 1 minute to go here. So let me go ahead and get my profit and loss on the screen so that we can watch this together. Give me just a second. We're going to detach this from the screen, and I'm going to be able to put it on this screen on the S&P 500 trade that I've got open. So I promised you guys are here. Thank you for being here, by the way. I'm glad that you're tuning in. So what we've got here is we've got my S&P 500 trade is right here. Gold is here. Pound is here. Euro is here. We're going to watch the spike, see if there's anything happening. In 30 seconds, we'll get the numbers. And again, please trade carefully. Do not make a bunch of dumb mistakes going into this. Look at that. Gold making a bit of a move here pre-release. And whatever the numbers are, it is what it is. And we'll make some adjustments from there. So let's see what we get here. In 10 seconds, we'll be having the numbers. By the way, comment the numbers if you have them in the chat as soon as you have them. Help us out on the community here on YouTube. I would appreciate it a lot. All right. So are we going to get stopped out? Are we going higher? Okay. Good start there. S&P 500 up 1,300. Wow. Look at that. Gold taking out the highs. Beautiful. $1,100 on the S&P 500 trade. But this is the first move, guys. Just remember that oftentimes with spikes, you get a spike followed by another spike the other way. So, of course, I would love it to continue as I am long on both gold and the S&P 500 here today. But if it doesn't, it's sort of the news spike itself. It can go all over the place. And again, lots of people probably just got triggered on their buy stops up here. So if it continues, great, but they're basically in a gamble where it could just go back the other direction, and then they're going to be sitting in an uncomfortable spot. So floating about $1,000 on the S&P, I will take that for a start to the day. Let's see if there's any follow through. And again, the pound is going up. The euro, are we going to get that trade? So again, very spready right now. So I'm not going to execute like right on the candle, but I will potentially look to take that euro trade that I mentioned if we can get a spike up into it. Give me a second here, guys. We're going to take a look at what the euro non-farm employment change. Thank you from Pies. He says the change is 223K. So big reaction here to the actual spike, and love to see that today. That is a nice move. For me there on the S&P and gold also, but gold giving it back right away, guys. Gold completely erasing that number right away. So print it up into that 1843, back down to 1838 as we speak. All green numbers, says Harry. Yeah, big stuff there. Big release, and we're gonna have to clip that for the editors. We're gonna have to clip that little stream. That was fun. Little pop. Sometimes I get up on here and it's like there's no reaction to the news. But today we did get a little bit of a spike there on the S&P, which was awesome. Giving some back now, and again, we'll see what we can do in terms of that euro idea. See if that comes back into play. So let's go back into our single window view, and I'll see if I can find some stuff. So here's that gold move, popped above, and again, did not get much follow through. Here's our Euro USD concept that we talked about. Came up into our level, instantly rejected it, though did not quite get up into that 1.054 level.
So one of the things that I'm keeping an eye on here, guys, it looks like natural gas to me hit a major technical level. And so I actually like this as not only, I mean, maybe a day trade, but more so even as a swing trade. But what we can see here is this little pivot going all the way back to October of 2020 and like basically kissed that. And then you also have this pivot low right here. And you have this incredible oversold scenario on natural gas. So to me, this is a technical bounce play. I actually just put out a trade signal to my crew to pick it up down here. And we're starting to see it bounce just a little bit. But the expectation would be that it would go back to this scene of the crime trend line here, which is around $5.30, give or take, which is a pretty hefty move on natural gas on a potential bounce. So that's kind of an exciting one.
Take your pick between the two, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on the dollar or Bitcoin. You just mentioned a little bit with the Fed, of course, the dollar is like that reference, but then also Bitcoin has some pretty strong correlation, it seems, despite saying, it was going to be this uncorrelated asset. It's had some serious struggle. What's your thoughts on the old BTC?
So like Bitcoin here, right? So the big thing is you have to look at the macro picture, and that really just refers to the bigger picture. So the bigger picture remains bearish, right? I mean, you have this big down move when FTX collapsed. This is basically an upsloping inside bar bear flag, if you will, in spirit of bear flag. The only thing is, in the very short term, you did break above this downsloping trend line a couple days ago right here. And so it does beg the question is, could we get a micro rally, like a pop through this line here? And that's really what I'm watching. It's right around 17,000, 16,900 and change.
Yeah.
But if we get through that, I actually think you could get somewhat of a little pop up, maybe to this area right here. And again, the reason why that's going to be so major resistance is it's this pivot top and it's also this down sloping trend line. So two major resistance levels are joining forces in that range. So it'd be hard for Bitcoin to get through there. But I'm actually, just in the short term here, I'm kind of bullish on Bitcoin. I think that one of the craziest things about crypto is this: during this bear market, we haven't seen rip your face off rallies in crypto, right? You saw it in the stock market all in 2022. I mean, there were probably 3 of them where it was just an incredible rally. In crypto, you haven't seen that. And that's unusual. And it makes me very wary that we could set up for something like that, where we get a big pop, just because, again, you almost have to lure bulls back in before you can smoke it down again.
Make sure you guys check out the links in the description if you need broker recommendations, access to our free Discord, or want to chat with us on Telegram. If you're interested in our trading software, the Edge Finder, you can find that in the description as well. Thanks for watching.